Hey everybody, Mark Masters. It's Monday night, so it's another night of Always Bookin Comedy. Tonight we got Brionne Hopkins from Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming. How fun, up north. I'm in Denver. He's in Wyoming. We got 30 minutes to talk about comedy. It's going to be fun. How you doing tonight, Brionne?
Doing really good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Brionne's a crazy high-end comedy show producer, big venues, big what's I don't know what the right adjective is, show businessy guy putting on big productions. That's what I'm looking for, production value. He's got big production value in his shows. And yeah, let's get to know you. How are things in Wyoming?
Good, good. Thinking we might get snow on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah,
So
I think it's supposed to
it's
snow down in like Denver. Definitely, I'm going to be in Vail on Thursday doing a show with Orion Levine from at Los Angeles, and it's supposed
oh
to snow.
nice.
So first of the year, it's something to deal with for the next 4 or 5 months, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you ever had a show like snow out or have snow impact attendance?
I haven't yet. January last year was a little tough because I did Casper and then I did Douglas. Douglas is about 40 minutes away. Uh, Interstate was closed, but we found a back road that wasn't. So we had to leave, about an hour earlier than scheduled because the roads were horrible. It was cold. Um, but we took our time with it. And nice thing with Wyoming and Colorado is you plan for the weather. So I have an SUV that's got really really good tires on it. So uh, we
Nice.
we made it there and back, and everything was okay. Flight wasn't canceled for the comedians to leave. Like everything worked out good. So
Nice. I've had pretty good luck, knock on wood, with winter comedy stuff so far. Hey, let me ask you something. Are you on a phone right now? Can you try to turn it sideways to see if we get
oh yeah.
the landscape? See if it. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Talk about production value. There we go.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I tried it on my laptop, but I couldn't get the image quality to work. So
Okay. Well, it looks great. That's
now,
good.
yeah, my phone does really well. So
Nice. Um, so, how do you get started in comedy stuff?
yeah, the main thing is I just found a need. Uh, there was a few like local um, breweries doing some comedy stuff, but their turnout was 15, 20 people. Comedians were not of any caliber. So what was actually the most challenging for me was convincing people to go because they'd been to these other shows where the comedians just weren't funny. A lot of them were really grotesque. I vet my comedians very carefully. So like I wanted to bring an elevated level, and I wanted to bring a lot of people just focus, like especially the bars and stuff. They just want people in to get alcohol sales. Like that's their whole fuel for everything. And I wanted to bring something that was like quality driven. I don't care if you drink or not. Like I just want you to attend and have a really good time. Then we started the very first show. Like I think we had over 400 people, and I mean phenomenal turnout. And I was like, huh, maybe I'm onto something with this because there's obviously like Cheyenne, Fort Collins, like further you go down south, Denver, Loveland, like you've got comedy options, but when you go north, there's just nothing here yet. So I had to kind of build it out, and it was really challenging. But the only thing I was doing is Wyoming. I think we finally got off the bottom, but for the last 7 years, we had the highest suicide rate per capita of any state in the country. And I know one of the ways to prevent that is to laugh and have a good time and something you can talk about for the next week or two. So that's what I really wanted to build, was like, how can I provide an environment where people can just have a good time, get some laughs. And I wasn't like, I was just putting on an event because I saw a need. I didn't plan on being a promoter. I didn't plan on booking events every month. Like that was never in the cards. I never looked at it as like a business. I just wanted to provide a service to the community. And that's how it got started. I saw there was a lack. It's funny because I just got done watching uh, Bert Kreischer And I was like, how come we don't have comedy here? So if I had to thank anybody, it'd be Bert on why there's comedy
You
in the
watched him in
northern part of
person,
Wyoming.
or like you watched a movie or a podcast, or
No, I watched one of his stand up, The
oh, especially.
Machine. I'd seen it years ago, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. And for whatever reason, like I felt like I needed some humor, so I clicked it on. I almost know it word by word, but I listened to it and it made me feel good. And I was like, how come we don't have that here? Because it'd be nice to feel good. And I went and checked out some of the local stuff, and I was like, man, this just isn't. It's not the same. So
Yeah, I'm working on something in the background. While I'm doing that, tell me about some of the logistics of show running. Like when you started your first time, how did you handle ticketing? How did you figure out ticket prices? Some of that stuff.
yeah, so what I looked at is I looked into Salt Lake and Provo, and I looked at what their ticket pricings were. I looked at Denver, because you want to, like, I didn't want to undercharge and I didn't want to overcharge. And so the main thing I started with, I was like, okay, what's the venue going to cost me? Am I going to need sound and lighting? What is the talent going to cost? Do I have to fly them out here? Do I have to pay for that? Do I have to pay for hotel rooms? So I analyzed all my costs, and I said, okay, if it costs me this much to put it on, then and expenses, and then I've got labor on top of it. I was like, okay, how much do I have to make to
Hey,
actually?
Brionne, can I pause you there?
Yeah.
The thing I was working on in the background looks like it's right. You see that?
Yeah.
That was Saturday night, just
Oh,
like
that's
3
awesome.
nights ago. Got to hang out with old Bert.
No, that's
Nicest guy in the
phenomenal.
world. Can't
Yeah,
say enough nice things about him.
that's
Just
awesome. Was he down in Denver?
he was in he did Red Rocks
Oh
on
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Friday night, and wait, no, sorry, did Red Rocks on Wednesday night, and did Vail, Colorado on Thursday night. I run a monthly comedy show in Vail, but this was at like a much larger venue. So at the
Oh,
40
gotcha.
here, there were thousands of people there, paid $100 a piece. Totally different production
Right. Right.
than
Yeah.
the shows I'm running, and even bigger than the shows you're running.
Yeah.
Just wild to think about those budgets and the things
Right.
that.
Well, on a high note, we did actually purchase two historical theaters here. Me and a group of guys. The America and the Rialto. One holds 1,100. The other one holds 550. So
Wow. Well, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah. The smaller one will be open in January, and the big one will be open March, April.
That's
Um,
so cool.
so we're really excited about that. I had that in the works for months now, and it finally
Let's table that. That's really interesting. I'll ask you about that in a second.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go back to you're figuring out your ticketing for your
yeah,
first
yeah.
event, or how you look at
So
ticketing.
what I recommend to everybody is you got to know what your cost is. So and it doesn't like their financial pro formas is what I run, and it basically gives me all the revenue streams I could have at a comedy show, all the expenses, including your labor and everything, and then you can kind of figure out um, where you're going to be at. So I added up all my expenses, and I said, okay, I'm going to have to be somewhere between $30 and $40 a ticket. I'm like, man, that'll be hard to sell. So how can I mitigate that a little bit? And then I thought, well, I'll get sponsors. So I try and get, $4,000 or $5,000 in sponsors. And then that allows me to bring that ticket cost down to something more manageable, that 25, 30 range. And I tested the market. Like the best thing to do is go talk to people and say, hey, if I brought quality comedy here, what would the value be to that? How much would you pay for it? And there's a lot of people, like the statistics will tell you, 10% of a community is actually will ever attend a comedy show. So if you've got, like me, I've got a population of 55,000 people. So now I've just shrunk my market down to 5,500. So I was like, okay, well, with these 5,500, like how much would you pay to go to a comedy show? And I went to the mall and I just asked 40, 50 people and said, for a good quality comedy show, night out, like how much would you pay? And I usually got that 25, 30. A lot of them wanted, two tickets for 40 or two tickets for 50 so they could make it a date night, that kind of thing. So that's where I got my pricing from, was cost. And then like, what does the market tell me? What is the community telling me I can charge? Best thing in the world to do. Don't assume anything. Like go out. Cause even like Provo, some of the comedians like the up and comers, their shows are only $5, $7, $12 a ticket. And it's just because that's what the market will pay to see them currently. So, so I had to figure out quality comedy shows. So then I had to go find quality comedians that fit within a budget that I can swing. But the promotions world is very hard because you have no guarantees. You're competing with anything and everything that'll grab somebody's attention. So, I mean, it's something as small as a bake sale for a big nonprofit could totally upside down your ticket sales. Or if there's something big at a big venue, obviously you don't want to try and compete with that. And I would tell everybody listening, like, the biggest thing ever is don't fight the market, go with the market. Because I tried to fight on my very first show. I tried to fight the market, and I thought I could outmarket the market, and because I'm very good at marketing, and I thought I could swing them, and I didn't, as hard as I tried, and I spent a lot of money doing it. But that was my lesson learned. So everybody listening, like, pay attention to the market. If the market is telling you they're not interested, then you have to find a way to get them interested. But don't try and push against it, because you just won't win.
Talk a little bit. I know you're pretty sophisticated with Facebook advertising and social, paying for marketing online. Can you offer any tips and tricks?
Yeah, I would tell you it's one of the most effective ways to do entertainment specifically, because but it's how you do it. So I'm a business consultant by trade, and I've gotten many arguments with business owners on social media marketing because they don't think it works. And they don't think it works because, they put a $30 boost out once a quarter and expect like massive returns from it. All marketing, the most important things with any, I don't care what it is, it's frequency and consistency. So you have to be in front of people frequently, and you've got to do it consistently. You can't, like, even when I'm not putting on shows, like, I'm still engaging with people all the time. So you have to be consistent and frequent. And the big thing with social media specifically, especially if you're doing paid ads, you have to, like, I would encourage everybody to learn the back end of Facebook and how it works so that you can utilize your marketing and your ad spend the most effectively. So what I'll do is I'll start with a reach campaign, and it just goes out to a ton of eyeballs, just as many as I can grab. And then I'll come back with a retargeting ad that will focus on.
Can I ask, I'm personally interested in this. So the reach campaign, what media do you recommend? Are you doing a still image?
Videos tend to do better. So if you can do video, I highly recommend it, because the chance of somebody viewing it is like 100 times higher than a still image. Even plain text is starting to come back because people don't use it anymore. So it's starting to, if you see a lot of the big marketers out there, like the Grant Cardones and Tony Robbins, like, they're starting to just punch out just straight text because it's something different. So that's actually working again now. But video still by far is your number one accelerator.
To have multiple pieces of media?
Like,
they say that, yes. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you want multiple media, and you want multiple channels for that media. So if I shot the best thing in the world to do is like shoot a instructional video 10 minutes, because on YouTube, people will watch YouTube for 10 minutes. They will not watch Facebook for 10 minutes. But just take an instructional video for instance, and then you take that instructional video and then you chop it into pieces. So you chop out 30-second clips, and then that's what you use for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And then if you get on a platform like a LinkedIn, then you can do 2 to 3 minutes on that platform. So it just depends on who the number one thing is know your target audience, know who they are, what they do, and how they behave. So if I'm trying to reach somebody that's 18 to 25 years old, I'm not doing radio, I'm not doing TV, I'm not doing newspaper. I'm doing Snapchat, I'm doing Instagram, I'm doing TikTok. I'm utilizing those platforms. So, and then if I'm trying to reach somebody that's, 55 to 70, then yeah, I'm going to utilize those traditional resources because that's what they're tuned into. But the most important thing is know your audience. Like my comedy shows, I'll do 2. And I know in Casper, my early show is the average age of about 45 to 50. Like that's average age. So I need to, for the early show to get full, I've got to target what those guys are paying attention to. And then my late show gets a little younger. So I'm like 35 to 40. So then I have to find those mediums for them.
Yeah. We got a question online from North Carolina for you.
Yeah.
Retargeting ad. Can you describe what that is, please?
Absolutely. It's one of the most important tools on social media ever. So you do the reach campaign, right? You hit lots of eyeballs and, but what you do, so Facebook already has it, but it's called a pixel. So a pixel works as like a centurion guard. So it stands guard of your website and your Facebook page. And what it does is it just sits there and tracks data over and over and over. So what I do is I do that reach campaign, and anybody who's shown any interest, they stayed on the ad too long, they liked it, they tagged a friend in it, they clicked on it, they went to my website, any of those things, they are now a target of mine. So then I do a retargeting ad, which when you go into Facebook and Instagram, it's a traffic option. So it'll have like reach, traffic, lead generation. It has like 5 or 6 of them. But you pick that traffic ad, but you build a custom audience that is based on Facebook engagement and website engagement. And you can go clear back, I think on the website, you can go back 180 days. And then on the Facebook page, you can actually go back a full year. So anybody, what works great for me is I've been doing these for a while. So I'll set the parameters at the maximum, and anybody who's shown any engagement anytime during that time frame will now start getting pinged with them. So if you've ever like tried to book a trip to Vegas, and then for like the next 2 weeks, you get nothing but Vegas ads everywhere. Like I infiltrate people's video games, I infiltrate their email. They see me everywhere, and they'll see me 10 to 12 times a day. Yeah. Because I'm trying to get them to commit to coming to the show.
As a question about the pixel, once you run the pixel for a little bit with your reach campaign, can you go into the back end of Facebook and see the actual users?
You cannot see. No, there's privacy laws against that. But what it will do is it will infiltrate it for you. And the great thing with Facebook and Instagram in particular is Facebook, the algorithm has gotten extremely advanced. So like say I showed interest in an ad. Well, if my retargeting, the other thing you got to know is it's based on auction. So you bid higher, it's better to run a $20 daily spend for 5 days than it is to run a $10 ad for 10 days. Now, it is specific. There are advantages, but for entertainment purposes, like I'd rather saturate, because if I'm bidding $20 a day and my competition is bidding $12 a day, then I'm going to get priority over them. And that's very important. That's why when people do $5 a day, they wonder why they don't see any results. They don't get a lot of engagement. It's because somebody has outbid them on a daily spend. So the daily spend is important. But with the retargeting, what that does is it just keeps hammering them. But the algorithm has gotten so advanced that, say I looked at it, I liked it, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then like the next 6 times they showed it to me, I just scrolled through it. I no longer showed any interest, no engagement. Well, at a certain point, Facebook recognizes that, hey, this person's no longer engaged. So instead of continually burning that ad spend with that customer, they will disengage that customer and it'll go to another customer. It'll find me a new target, which is highly, highly effective. You can't get that on the radio, TV, like none of these other platforms, because they just shotgun blast out. So you're hitting a lot of people that really have no interest. Nice thing with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok is you can target those people so that they keep seeing you. You keep staying top of mind. And like 60% of my tickets are sold in the last 10 days. Oh. So that's when I really upped that retargeting campaign, is because, hey, people have found out I'm not doing anything Friday night. I should go. Well, if they think, oh, I got to talk to my wife about it, then they may forget about me. But if I'm continually hitting them multiple times every single day, they can't forget about me. The average person stares at 9,000 or looks at 9,000 advertisements a day. Every billboard, every ad on your phone, laptop, when you go to the grocery store, everything in that store is specifically designed to grab your eyeballs. Yeah. So how do you compete with all that saturation? Consistency and frequency. Like you just have to stay top of mind with them. And people get, like, even me sometimes, I'll get nervous. I'm like, man, sell-through isn't very great on this one. Like Gillette, Wyoming is a new market that I'm trying to break into. And my first 2 runs at it have been, they haven't been super successful, but I keep hammering them anyway because it will grow. Like I will all of a sudden become familiar. And then once I become familiar, they start gaining my trust because they're like, hey, this guy's sticking around. He's not going anywhere. And I just keep hammering at them. But the frequency is what there's an old phrase about selling, and they got to know you first, and then they got to know you to like you. They got to like you to trust you. They got to trust you to buy from you. So that same principle holds true in the entertainment industry, because a lot of people have comedies, especially a lot of people have went to crappy comedy shows. So you really have to gain their trust for them to spend their money with you. Like I've found this market is way harder than musicians, way harder than magicians. Like comedy is very specific, and it has a very direct audience. So you have to gain their trust. You have to keep telling them you're going to have a phenomenal time. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great experience for you. Just keep. And a lot of the time, I lean on the talent's credentials too, on the comedians, and say, hey, what have you done? Like, what can I throw out there to gain the trust of these people that I need to have them spend money to come see you?
Yeah.
So, but I add others. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Do you know what a good cost per click is for you?
For me, I'm about 24 cents. So it costs me about a quarter.
I get like, I'd say 35 to 45 cents.
Yeah,
Why do you think that is? Is that because I'm in bigger markets, or am I not doing as good a job?
No, I would say so it's hard. Like my cost per click is expensive because I don't have the reach. So it asks me Facebook tells me all the time, broaden your reach and you'll get more attention. You'll get more views. You'll get more clicks. But I can't, because I can't pull, like my talent's not big enough to pull people out of Colorado Springs or Denver to come see my show.
Yeah.
So I target to a population of about 80,000 people.
Okay.
And so, but what I do is I mix things up a lot. So if you notice on Netflix, they do something that's actually pretty genius. So if you see a movie and it's got the cover page of what the DVD or the main poster looks like, right? Well, if you don't click on it, but you paused on it or you clicked on it, then if you pay attention, Netflix will change that background image. Still the same movie, but it'll change the image. And by doing that, I notice that I look at it. Yeah. So I do that with mine. So I'll run a video for 4 to 5 days, and then I'll switch out that video and I'll put a still image, and then I'll change the background of the still image, and then all of a sudden, like you can watch, if you watch your analytics, you can watch it. Like as soon as they start going down, then you do something different, and then they come back up again, and then they go down, and then they come back. But all I'm doing is just changing their focus, because they've already shown interest. Now I just got to keep them engaged. But that's my landing page views are actually really good, and I can't say for sure, but I would say that that's a big contributor in that, is just keeping the content fresh.
Right.
Because if you stare at, like, if you think about when you go to your office or you go to work or whatever, there's certain things that you just don't look at anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because you see them every day.
You're numb to it.
But then all of a sudden, a new picture goes on the wall and you're like, huh, wow, when did that get put up there? But the old picture had been there for 2 years. You just never looked at it anymore. So yeah, you got to keep it fresh in their mind.
Yeah, I got a new question for you. So in terms of staging a comedy show, what are some lessons you've learned, putting on a comedy show? It's a little different than like a rock concert.
So you want to keep everybody super close, like almost on top of each other if you can. Typically low ceilings. I don't always have that option in Wyoming, but ideally you want low ceilings, very intimate, very close, tight knit. I can't push the importance of sound quality. Sound quality is a game changer, and I didn't realize the magnitude of it until my first show. I did the one in Casper, and I had really superb sound, really good lighting. And then we went to Douglas, a lot smaller community, smaller venue. They didn't have quality anything, and night and day difference. Like the jokes didn't hit their marks like they were supposed to. I mean, it was still a good show because Douglas didn't know any different, but I noticed a huge difference in the reactions, especially when you have comedians that use a lot of facial expressions in their comedy. If you have poor lighting, like the front 3 rows will be able to see it, but nobody else, and it kills the momentum of the show. So quality sound, quality lighting, keep everybody very tight knit together. Huge, like those are the number 1, 2, and 3 most important things of a show.
Okay.
Good sound, good lighting, cram everybody together as close as you can.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I think I heard that you had a show with some like pyrotechnics or something.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Tell us like how that went, how that, I haven't seen
phenomenal.
that before personally.
It wasn't anything like I didn't have cannons blasting off or anything, but we had cold sparks, and cold sparks are really awesome because you can use them indoors, but they look like really powerful sparklers, but they shoot up about 7 feet in the air. And so when we announced the comedian, he'd walk out of this. It was cool, the venue setup, because you had this big ballroom, but then there was a little private room that probably sat like 140 people. But we just kept it black. We put the comedians like there's a side room where we turned on a light for them, but the room they came out of pitch black, and nobody even noticed there was anything there. The doors were open, but it was just black. And as soon as we announced the comedians, they came out, and the sparks went on both sides of them, shot through the air, and they walked through. And it was funny too, because as soon as those sparks hit, like you could see the swagger of the comedian change. Like he walked with a little pep in his step, feeling like a rock star. But
how much do those cost?
So mine were there's some kind of magnesium that causes the spark, and it's pretty expensive. But I think I paid $260 for them. But they shot them off a lot. So well worth it though, because the crowd like immediately got energized with that, because they were all sitting and chatting and doing their thing, and I dimmed the lights, so they knew things were getting ready to go. And then those sparks kicked off, and everybody just started clapping. And whoo, it was a great start to the show.
Are they like fireworks where you throw them? They're one single use, or do you reuse?
No, they're loaded. They're like I'm trying to think. They're just like a big cylinder. Yeah, they're big cylinder. Probably 4 inches, 5 inches by 5 inches. And, but no, they're all electrically operated. So you just hit a button and they'll just as much as you want until you run out of magnesium.
Or is it like remote control?
No, it's wireless. So the guy was running it from the back of the room.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. But it adds to the experience. Like that's the big thing, the experience. And that's one thing I push. That's why, some of my VIP ticket holders at some of my shows, they get limo rides, and they get taken to a restaurant where they get free appetizers and a drink, and then they get rode back in the limo back to the event. Like people, I think a lot of them were more excited, at least from their Facebook stuff, were more excited about the limo than the show. They were taking photos of them getting in it, getting out it while they were in it, like shooting video. I mean, it was great for me because they helped me market my show. Post show, they just littered everything. But the experience, like that's what people talk about. They have a great comedy show, that's a good start, but then what can you add in addition to make it memorable? Because people remember experiences. So that's why the pyrotechnics came into it, and the limo rides and the extra stuff. Like the extra stuff matters, and it's usually not that expensive. I paid $400 for the limo for the whole night. Nice. And it was well worth it because I sold 5 VIP tables at $1,000 a piece.
Wow.
Crazy. And the big push was they got to ride in a limo. Like,
something else. I love your enthusiasm and your passion for the production quality of the comedy.
Yeah,
we got about a minute. We got about a minute left. Any closing thoughts? Important lessons, things you've learned, funny stories?
Yeah, the big thing, just don't fight the market. Like I can't stress that enough. Okay. If people are not engaging, then you have to change something. Don't just keep, as they say, beating a dead horse. That's the biggest lesson I learned in any kind of promotions. Trying to think of I don't know as if I have any funny stories. I did have a comedians who were doing comedy for a cause show. We were supporting JR's Hunt for Life. It's a suicide prevention nonprofit, and it's supposed to be a clean show. And one of the one of the comedians dropped the MF out. Like dead, like, and this guy's a chatty Cathy. Like, I mean, he's very active comedian, very boisterous, and like he just stopped, mouth drop, bam, and everybody was just like, "Ooh!" And I've never seen the guy freeze ever, and I've watched a lot of his stuff. He's done a couple of shows for me, but he just flat froze. Didn't for about 35 seconds, and then everybody started laughing. So he got back in his flow. But yeah, that's about the funniest story I could think of, actually.
Yeah.
Just because of the pause. Like, it's
Yeah.
just such a long pause.
Oops.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, Brionne Hopkins from Casper, Wyoming, an expert in cold sparks, in
Yeah.
Facebook pixels and retargeting. He knows all kinds of things about entertainment marketing. What a fascinating conversation. Thank you, Brionne. We'll have to have you back sometime.
Yeah.
Stay warm this winter. Keep people laughing up there in Wyoming. And thanks for being on Always Bookin Comedy. Promote anything real quick?
Yeah. Well, if any of you guys need help with events, you can go to thriveadvisorgroup.com. It's got a lot of the stuff I do to help businesses, help promoters. A lot of information there. Do have a couple comedy shows coming up this weekend in Wyoming. And we're bringing a Steve Mudflat McGrew up. He's down in the Denver area. He's going to be a lot of fun. So, but yeah, the big thing is, like I just say, don't get frustrated. Keep pushing. If you haven't found a path, then figure out what's not working, and just don't give up. Just keep pushing.
Yeah, I would echo that sentiment. Consistency is key in independently produced comedy shows. You need to keep doing it, because eventually you'll get your regular audience. And once they're filling up 25, 40% of the seats, it just gets so much easier. And then if you keep delivering a good experience, people will come back and they'll tell their friends.
Absolutely. And just learn Facebook, learn Instagram, learn TikTok. Those are going to be your main drivers for
If you had to pick
comedy.
one, which one are you going?
Well, I found that for me, like my comedy audience is older, so I focus a lot on Facebook because most everybody has it. A lot of older people are not on Instagram. TikTok is the number one used and watched platform, so that's always a good one. May not hit your target audience, but it might hit people that know people in your target audience just because of the sheer volume.
Nice. All right, we got to get out of here. This is Always Bookin Comedy. We're doing this every Monday night at 6:30 Mountain. Next week, we got Mel from Olympia, incredible showrunner up in Olympia, Washington. Brionne, thank you so much for joining me and for your valuable time. Everybody have a terrific week.